Hello, here's a short video to get you started on week 4. Week 4 we will switch over into fabrication, so you want to be in section 3 of the underneath the course material. And for fabrication we're really looking at kind of physical creations, often 3D printing, laser cutting, and wearable technology are some of the things you see within the realm of fabrication. So to get started with that, chapter 6 on making today, and the first section of that is on fabrication in particular. That will be most relevant. And then, the first section of chapter 7 is on fabrication. So really focus there. All of chapter 6, I think, will be relevant. And then chapter 8 is really a chapter to scan. It's a little bit more resource intensive as you're looking for materials. And then there's 4 other short articles here. What do people learn from using digital fabrication tools? An article from last year, but I think is relevant in terms of helping you look at what's the potential for the field of 3D printing and fabrication. Then looking at how technology is changing art in particular, I think is an exciting place. And finally, the last article is from Neil Mackenzie, who is a really phenomenal educator doing a lot with 3D printing to support students with low or no vision, and the implications for inclusion through using physical manipulatives. I also thought some of you might be interested, as we talk about 3D printing, to consider what the environmental impacts of this field is, and I think it's a great topic to start to also introduce with students as you're bringing up the idea of fabrication. After reading those, what I'd like you to do is go ahead, find 1 or 2 new ideas, articles, or designs for increasing inclusion and access through fabrication, and then share them via one of the various channels with hashtag EdTech207, or tagging me in particular. I also encourage you to think about tagging other folks from class. Remember, folks' Twitter handles are here. So if you have not done this before, I thought I'd quickly walk you through it. So here I found an interesting article about 3D printing an easy to use to make a wheelchair ramp for areas where there's not great curbage. So if I wanted to add this article to Twitter, I'm going to take a screenshot of the image. I'd pop over into Twitter and I'd say that I want to compose a new tweet. Great example of 3D printing for inclusion, wheelchair ramps, and then I might, if the URL is not too long here, I might add that. I'm going to go ahead and add that screenshot I just took, and I'm going to add the hashtag EdTech207. If I wanted to tag someone, so say I'd like to tag Mia here, I can click there, or I can search someone's handle. So I would go ahead and grab someone's username, and then I can type it in there. By tagging the photo, it gives me more space in the tweet itself to include some thoughts, and then go ahead and tweet, and it would go out, and that way anyone can follow along. I will make sure, it looks like my Twitter handle is not in the document, I'll make sure to add that there. You can also tag me directly so that I can see the ideas that you're sharing, but certainly feel free to use LinkedIn, the Facebook group, or the Google Stream as well. And then the bigger assignment this week is to work on a self-assessment. And in Google Classroom, you'll have that. There is a template here for you to reflect on. You did that pre-course survey. The pre-course survey looked like this and should have generated an email to you that you have a copy of. going to ask you to, in this chart, use orange to fill the cell and a C to mark your current level. If you don't know how to do that, in Google Docs, it's up under the extra dots, and it's this background color. So for each of these things, you'll mark your current level, and then you need to set a goal area for December of this year. Keep in mind, there's no expectation that you make progress in all of the areas, but rather you might decide to focus on technologies that seem particularly relevant for your context, and you might make more growth in that area. But we will use this to kind of guide some of the maker journals that you'll do. The next part of this document is to think more broadly about the outcomes for the whole master's program. And for that, you've got an additional workbook. And what you'll do here is for each row, you will mark, again, by turning the color of that cell. So say I thought this was, the level where I was at. I was at a foundational level in this line. I would mark that green, and then each line I'm going to mark the color where I think that I am. And then you're going to be picking 3 areas of that rubric that feel like you could make progress on them through this course in particular. If you would list those here in this chart, and then I've given you an example of a response that you could compose with why you'd like to make growth in this area and what would be evidence of growth, and you would put these down below here. Again, the focus is knowing what you know about this course now, really targeting areas that are relevant to this piece. On page 3, asking you to reflect on your current level of performance with the course outcomes. So for instance, explain how computational thinking relates to current area of teaching practice. I might decide, you know what, I really feel like I'm a beginner with that right now. And you'll fill in the white cells right now. In December, you'll do the yellow cells, so you don't need to do that now. And then just 2 open-ended responses to complete now, and then again we'll kind of return to parallel questions in December at the end of the course. But this is really to help guide your intention with the assignments, because you'll have a lot of choice in the next couple months about how you put together your time, and have found that this is a great way to think about bringing some clarity to the way that you structure that time. So that's what week 4 assignment is. Also down below, I've given you some extra resources for fabrication and 3D creation that may be relevant as you are thinking about the topics this week. So don't hesitate to be in touch, and good luck with the work this week.